I would say that one of the things we did a year ago that we continued this year was the establishment of an infectious disease fund. Congressman Cole on the House side was a particularly vigorous advocate of doing that. That $105 million that in the past would not have been there has given them the money that they needed up until now and for some time in the future. The second thing the Secretary will use and has stated in this talk about a supplemental he'll use would be the transfer authority that probably allows another $136 million to be transferred. So in the short term, there is available to HHS and through them CDC about $250 million, which exceeds the current need for money but doesn't exceed the anticipated future need, both for containment efforts outside the country and then anticipating the potential of a bigger outbreak in the country. We have increased over the last few years on an annual basis the local preparedness money. And many of you will remember with the fear of an Ebola outbreak, funded the establishment of several locations around the country that would be available for the treating of patients in that kind of critical and highly contagious moment. Some of that could very well transition if we need it to into how to meet this effort. And I think we didn't hear anything today that was top secret, but Chairman Burr's view was that there was no reason we couldn't ask any question that needed to be asked, and there was no question that they couldn't answer by having that meeting in that setting. I wasn't involved in that, but I thought that was a pretty good explanation about the question. Okay, did we hear anything today that we couldn't hear in public? And there have been a number of public discussions with many of those same individuals over the last couple of weeks, as you all know. Anything?
Are you confident that the administration is prepared for potentially a widespread outbreak in the United States?
Well, I've been in a number of these meetings over the last few years, and all you have to do is change the topic from coronavirus to SARS to whatever, and we never know the answer to that. I think we're prepared for dealing with a substantial problem if we have it. You never know how big the problem is going to be, so answering that is frankly impossible. But there have been plenty of preparatory efforts made over the last several budgets, again, plus the infectious disease special fund that was created just in FY19 and extended in FY20. So I've been talking to CDC and HHS both for the last 3 weeks. I have no reason to believe that they're not doing everything they can think of to be prepared, and I believe will be.
So, Senator, you said the supplemental won't look exactly like it's been presented by the administration. What exactly do you mean by that?
Well, the pay-fors are always, it's our decision to decide what the pay-fors are going to be, not theirs. I believe there are, as I understand the way this is being presented, it's $2.5 billion, and about half of that is emergency funding, and the other half is transfers and payments, suggested payments of like the remainder of the Ebola fund, for instance.
So you're against that, basically?
Well, we'll see. It doesn't matter, I don't get to decide this myself, but I'm sure there'll be someone against it. I'm sure there'll be someone against it.
The president said this morning that people who have the coronavirus are getting better. They're all getting better. He also said that there was suggestion that the spread, in his words, were not. We said that they were close to finding a vaccine. Is that consistent with what you heard from the officials just now?
Well, it would be true that most of them are getting better. They're not all getting better. Ones that die aren't getting better. And the vaccine, I think we're approaching the vaccine as rapidly as any vaccine has ever been developed, but that would still be a year or a year and a half before that vaccine would move beyond the trial stage. So we will not have a vaccine in the next 12 or 18 months that you could take this shot and you're not going to have this problem. And so we're going to need to deal with this in the way you always have to deal with these issues. And a year and a half would be the quickest that a vaccine has ever been developed for something like this. I think Dr. Fauci is committed to see if we can't set a new world record, or at least a new U.S. record on developing a vaccine, but there is no vaccine right now.
Senator, what's the most urgent need for this funding?
The most urgent need would be the containment need once people have the disease, particularly people coming in from other countries. The one thing we wouldn't have anticipated in any recent plan would be that several hundred people would be coming back that would have to be contained for some period of time, 2 weeks or more. And so that's probably where the most money has been spent so far. And then the other, the big amounts of money will involve getting the preparedness equipment ready, getting that in a way that it can be distributed if you need to distribute it to parts of the country that need it. That's where once you get beyond the first 250 million, that's where I think a substantial amount of the money would be spent.
When you talk about containment needs, that's like facilities, beds, things. I mean,
well, like putting
places,
people,
I mean,
like putting people in facilities and taking care of them for a couple of weeks. That costs a lot of money to have the staff to do it, the facility to do it. It's something we have not done very many times in the past, and that's a significant cost, upfront cost.
Do you
One
anticipate a
other question.